Right, okay, so you join us for another video, and there's only one place to start. Isak. It's in all the national newspapers, it's everywhere. Kieran, do you want to just give the update? Because there has been some breaking news kind of when we've started recording this.
Literally 5 minutes before we started recording, breaking news from the Martin Hardy at the Times that Alexander Isak's home was put on the rental market the day after he was omitted from Newcastle Players and Families Day. His desire to leave is so strong that he has moved out of the property, with the owner now seeking new tenants. So he's moved out of his house in Newcastle.
I mean, there's so many places to start with this. I've kind of structured a little bit of what we want to try to get in. And towards the end of the video, I want to maybe get the Isak perspective and look at maybe how he's thinking, what Liverpool are going to be thinking from this. But Newcastle's perspective, first of all, this is a hammer blow, isn't it? As Newcastle fans, this is pretty much as bad as it gets. What your star player turning around and saying, "I don't want to play for you anymore."
I've lost my respect for him, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I said that last time, but I really have now. Every day there's just more stuff coming out about him, basically disrespecting everybody. Like, we as fans have idolized him for the last 2 years, and he's just like shoved it in our face like it's nothing. Like, it's quite disappointing and upsetting, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is. You could think of all the things that a footballer could potentially do to the club that you love, and this is pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. I don't really think there's much sort of around there. A lot of fans on social media, obviously, we run the Newcastle Supporters Worldwide page. Drop us a follow if you're not already. We're trying to reach 100,000 followers. We're on 98, 99 or something, so very close to it. It does seem that a lot of the fans are with you and have kind of turned portions of the fan base have kind of always defended him. So when he was training at his former club, Eddie Howe did a press conference and said, "First I've heard of it. This is brand new to me," sort of thing. He'd only found out through the media. A lot of fans are like, "Oh no, he's probably told the club, oh, it's all right, don't worry about it." And then when he's obviously been trained by himself, the fans are like, "Oh, it's understandable, this, that, and the other." A lot of fans have kind of backed Isak's corner, probably because of how important he is of a player for the club. When you've seen it was happening for Fraser a few years ago, fans were like, "Oh, get rid of him," or whatever. It's totally different when it's your star Superman player. And this is what's happening. But I think a lot of the fans, this is kind of the final straw. Obviously, we need to just put a little cravat in sort of thing. It is David Ornstein who's reporting this. If it turns out, if Eddie Howe does a press conference in a few days and he says, "No, actually, I've not heard any of this, it's all lies," or whatever, wow. But we can only go off obviously what's been reported. Sky Sports have picked it up today. Talksports did a full hour program on it. It's absolutely everywhere. It's massive, massive news. Now, a lot of the comments that I've seen on the post and stuff will say, "Oh, it's Ornstein, blah, blah, blah." We get that comment everywhere. Even sometimes when Fabrizio Romano reports, people are like, "Oh no, Fabrizio, remember when he said this and that?" Ornstein, in my opinion, is one of the most respected journalists that there are out there. You're going to get a certain amount of fans that are like, "Oh no, but with any single report that's put out there, he is one of the most credible. And for me personally, he's attached his name to this. And if it turns out that it's not, that is hugely embarrassing, and Newcastle fans won't forget it because of the media coverage it's got. His name's going to be tarnished a little bit with this about the Isak situation. So I don't think, unless he had really concrete stuff, either from Isak, from the agent, from some really, really close source, I don't think he would put this out and think, "Oh, it's clickbait, I'll get more views." I really don't think he's that type of journalist. What do you reckon?
No, I agree. I mean, I said this to you as well. I said, like, I think he's the most reliable journalist that there is out there at the minute. I think Fabrizio Romano hasn't really been that good this summer. He's kind of just repeating the same news over and over again and trying to sort of make the story just alive every single day. But this is like different news now. This isn't like the same thing. Like, even this morning, his house being put up for sale. We heard rumors of that before, but now it's like confirmed that, well, supposedly confirmed that he's moved out of his house and stuff, which is bizarre. Like, I can't understand why a player would do that before he's even left. Like, he could be, like, there's no even guarantee that he's going to leave this summer. Like, we haven't got a replacement in. We can't sell him. He's contracted to us. It doesn't make sense as to why he thinks he's going to be allowed to just leave like it's nothing. We're not going to accept 110 million for a player that we've been seeing all summer is 150 million pounds. Liverpool have came in with a lower offer. That's their fault. Like, if they want the player, they have to bring the money, like pay what we'll ask for all summer. It's like no different for any other club. If Real Madrid wanted him, they'd have to pay 150 million. If PSG wanted him, they'd have to pay 150 million. It's no different. But then I think the way that he's been going on this whole situation, I believe everything that's coming out, to be honest, because it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And he's showing up to the training ground on his own. He's training on his own. He's not playing with the squad. He's not traveling with the squad. He's like, even when he showed up to the training ground, that video of him coming in his car, he looked sick of his life. He had his hood up. He looked sick of his life. He doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, and I mean, we could see potentially an Anthony Gordon situation where he's getting chased in that car a few weeks. I think a lot of the fans, like you said, have kind of given up. The Newcastle Liverpool game comes up in the transfer window. So it could be that Newcastle, I mean, we'll touch on later what we would do and what we think the club might do, but if we sell him before that game, he could potentially score the winner. It could be the biggest, huge own goal PR disaster, whatever you want to call it, in the history of Newcastle. And you could see it happening. He is a star player. He plays up front striker, so he has the huge potential to score the winning goal in that game. That game is going to be must-see TV. Unfortunately, I'm on holiday, so I'm going to miss the first half of all the games I would want to see this season. This would be the game. I'm actually going away on holiday with some Liverpool fans as well, so it's going to be unbearable. What do you think that does? Because do you think Newcastle, if we're in the situation now where we've accepted this and right, we are going to have to sell him here. Do we have to sell him before that game, or do we wait until after that? And then at that point, we'll have played 2 games without our star striker. What do you reckon?
I have to be honest, I don't think he's going to go. Like, I still don't. I just don't see it happening because I don't think Liverpool are going to bring the money. And I don't think we're going to accept anything less than £150 million. And I don't see him playing in that game. Not for any team. I don't see him playing for us. I don't see him playing for Liverpool. He's not going to be involved in that game. But if he is, regardless of what shirt he's in, I think he's going to get backlash because of the way that he's acted. And he's definitely not. There's no way after all of this, if he is still playing for Newcastle by that game, that he's going to be playing because it's against the team that he's been linked to all summer, that he's been trying to force a move to. There's no way he'll play that game. There's no way.
In terms of his transfer value, we wanted 150 million. He's kicked the toys out the pram. He's acted a fool.
Yeah.
His transfer value is probably going to have gone down. I think Newcastle. I think because of this, it's put us in a terrible negotiation position, and I think we probably will have to bite the bullet for a little bit less if we want rid of him. It should really make him less appealing to another club because he's done this, but we see this happening more and more with football. What do you think Newcastle would be willing to accept? Do you think it's, as of all the news that's come out today, do you still think it's 150, or do you think Newcastle would accept a little bit less?
Well, it's being reported that it's still 150, but that Liverpool are supposedly like they think they're going to get him for less. So I'm going to say around about the 135, 40 million pounds, I'd say that would be able to get rid of him for. But anything less than 130, he can't go. Like, it's not going to happen.
Do you know what I would be doing? I'd be phoning Real Madrid and Barcelona and everyone and say, look, 120, you can take them. I would
Yeah.
rather, honestly, be that
I'm
spiteful
saying,
and
I'm
not have him
exactly
going to Liverpool after all of this.
anywhere but that football club.
Yeah. So where does it leave Newcastle? We've got the season ahead. All, well, not all, unless some hidden gems coming up. A lot of the top strikers across the world have already been tapped up. We've seen this because we put bids in. We put bids in for Ekitike. Had a good game while he was playing in the Community Shield. Gyökeres has went. Sesko, who we were linked with, has went. There's not really too many superstars out there that are still going to be for sale at this point in the window, because it means from that club's perspective, they're going to sell their star man and they're going to struggle and try to find someone in the 2 weeks roughly that we've kind of got to do. This is a horrible situation that's played out because this is kind of a saga now and it's gone on for ages. This is
Yeah.
a terrible timing situation because it's not in anyone's interest the further this goes to try to get rid
Yeah.
or replace.
Yeah, very true. There's no like Sesko, we said it in the last video as well. We said he's a number one option. There's no one better than him in the market right now that suits Newcastle, and he's gone. He's gone to Man United, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. I just had a feeling with the market, like the transfer window that we've had, I knew it was going to happen. And now I mean, we're not really linked with anyone that really like I look at and go, wow, like I want him. Like there's nobody. There really isn't. Like even the names we've been linked to, there's no one exciting. We're looking at like El Canous from Leicester, who's in the Championship. Like it's not exciting. And then Vissa, yes, he's a Premier League proven striker, but he's not coming in as first choice. There's no way. Like there's no one exciting. I'm excited about a new centre back, which is but that's about it.
Well, up front, it's a huge concern because even if we accept now we're not going to sign an A star player, striker or whatever, it means we're going to get a deal done. We're going to have 130 million pound in our back pocket. That's not going to affect on the field. Maybe we'll get some good midfielders and a B rate striker. But
Yeah.
when we try to get that A class striker in January, we're in a weaker position because everyone knows we've got loads of millions. So it's going to be the tax that they're going to put on it. They've got 100 million plus in their pocket. Right, let's whack another 10 million on if they want our guy. So it leaves us in a terrible position, I think.
Yeah, it does. And another thing I think's worth mentioning is that we're not interested in Paqueta. I know it's
I
like,
know I was good with that.
but like Paqueta not being interested in him, I think we're both quite disappointed with that because that's the type of player that would have excited us looking at. Like I would have been so excited if we went in for him. Doesn't look like it's going to happen though. And then striker wise, again, I don't see, like, even if we had the money, I don't see anyone that is available to buy that would want to come to Newcastle that is as good, if not better, than Isak. Like, there's nobody, like, I can't stress enough, there's not, like, there's nobody there that I want, like, as a Newcastle fan.
I know. Well, it's not even like I've said before. It's not even that world class striker that Isak is getting a like for like replacement. I think we always knew we might have to dip down a little bit and not get someone as good. But then we've got the money to play around with the rest. I don't think there's anyone on the level below Isak at the minute. Like you say, it's just these average or maybe decent strikers that we're being linked with. Not exciting. So from Liverpool's point of view, we'll touch on Isak's point of view and what he'd be thinking and stuff like that. But from Liverpool's point of view, we're seeing Virgil van Dijk come out after the game at the weekend. He came out and it was so rare to see a player discuss transfer business saying that we need another striker. I think that's kind of a push to say we want Isak and stuff like that to the
Yeah.
board or maybe to Isak or whatever. They'll be rubbing their hands because they'll presumably think this increases their chance of getting their man and at a reduced rate and stuff like that because Newcastle potentially could be desperate to sell sort of thing. So this has worked out amazing for Liverpool.
To be honest, I don't think Liverpool need a striker, but that's just me being selfish because Ekatike was phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
he's looked phenomenal, and he looks very similar to Isak in the way that he plays. I think they need, realistically, they need a centre back because they were defensively poor. They need a winger to replace Diaz, and they need a backup striker for Ekatike. They don't need Isak. They're just being greedy. Why would you spend £80 million on Ekatike to then push him to the bench after he started off well for the club to bring in Isak 120, 130 million pounds to play him over him? It doesn't make any sense. They're just being greedy. There's teams out there that do need him. I mean, you mentioned it to me, Man City. They're looking at selling Savinho to Tottenham. Isak can play out on the left. Why? Like that could open an opportunity for them to come into Isak. But then even like clubs abroad like Barca, Real Madrid, anyone could do with Isak. But Liverpool, in my opinion, they don't even need a striker. They've just signed one for £80 million and he looks good.
I mean, they're going to have two world class strikers if they do, and then that's just so scary for the rest of the Premier League. Obviously, touch on Man City, so it might be worth touching on. They've obviously just let Jack Grealish go on loan, like you say that they're selling players. They're going to have a load of money. The amount of money that they could get could push them into the Isak 100 million plus sort of thing, because that's obviously if they do sell the players, they're going to need replacements. They haven't got as big of a squad that they used to a few years ago, where they had all these superstars in every position. Now they've kind of got 15, 16 great people, and then there's a big dip off. If they want to be seen as title contenders, Isak could do that. So I could see why they're selling these players to maybe put themselves in the race for him, because everyone knows how good of a player is, and now he's unsettled.
Yeah, and Isak and Haaland are two very different players. You can play them two together, like, but Isak and Ekatike, they're practically the same in the way that like their style of play is exactly the same. They're the same build of player as well. Like they're exactly the same as each other. Man City need Isak more than Liverpool need Isak, but Liverpool want Isak and Man City at the minute don't. I don't know why they're not involved in the conversations. I mean, obviously, I don't want them to go to either of them because they're both English clubs, and the league is doomed regardless of who signs them. But I'd rather them go abroad, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we're going to do now, and this is very difficult to do because we are big Newcastle fans and stuff, but I just want to maybe think of things from Isak's perspective. Obviously, bit of a snake, bit of a rat that he's done, but just to really get in his headspace, just to maybe understand what he's thinking and why he might go or no not go. So, from Isak's perspective, he said he's not interested in Saudi via his agent. He hasn't come out and said anything really this transfer window. His agent's kind of done all the talking, which is common in football now. You see a lot of fans in the comments, oh, Isak hasn't said this. It's very rare that footballers will come out. It's always via their agent, but their agents are only going to come out and say stuff that kind of have been approved to say by their client. So he doesn't want to go to Saudi. Can't do that one. He said Liverpool have turned his head, in my opinion. As soon as that bid went in, it almost just seemed to be like a light switch. And from there, it's just his head has been completely turned. Liverpool clearly don't want to or are not able to pay the 150 million. Obviously, they've just offloaded one of their wingers recently, so maybe that does put them in the ballpark to be able to do that, whether they want to or not. They'll have probably seen this as potentially shaving off tens of millions off the transfer value. Like I say, Van Dijk's come in and said that he wants him in. He possibly has tapped him up a little bit. You've seen what happened in the cup where he had the whole kind of, it seems to be a lot in that. He seems to be want away. He's presumably, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think he said to Eddie Howe ages ago now, as soon as that Liverpool bid came in, Gaffer, I want to be away.
Yeah.
He's seen the likelihood of that dip down as the kind of days are ticking down. No movement's been done. Liverpool haven't come in again. He's probably concerned. I'm not going to get this move to Liverpool. I want to win Champions League. I want to win Premier League. I want to do all this. Liverpool have got the money. If they don't sign Isak, they're going to have to sign someone else. If they sign someone who's an A-star or A-class player, the same as Isak, rather than kind of just someone to tide them over till January and then maybe get Isak, this could mean Isak misses out on his dream move to Liverpool, because if they spend all that money, they're not going to be able to go back in from in January or in the summer and stuff. So from Isak's perspective, all he's really got is this, even though it's snaky and ratty and stuff like that, this is all really he's got that can force a move. The way he's done it is horrendous. How do you see it from Isak's perspective? Obviously it's unprofessional, but just through his headspace.
Well, at the beginning of this saga, I said I can understand why he would want to move away, because if it's true that he's been offered a contract, a new deal, improved salary, all of this stuff, and he's coming out in the media and he's saying, I love Newcastle, I love the fans, like, I'm not thinking about my future. That was literally about 5 months ago that he said that. After we won the cup, he said that. And then he's now refusing to play, and like it hasn't come out that he's refusing to play, but it seems
Like
that
he
way.
pretty much has that. That's almost the quote, really. Yeah.
It seems that way, yeah. Like, it hasn't been officially said that way, but it very much looks that way. And Eddie Howe has made it quite clear that it's not his decision that he's not playing. And from Isak's perspective, at the beginning of this saga, I could understand why he might want to explore a move away, because he's been promised something that he hasn't been given. And he's obviously, people are going to open their eyes. A star player like Isak's going to open their eyes when Liverpool are interested after they've just won the Premier League. They've signed Wirtz, they've like signed all these players, and they've got Salah, and they look promising. But then I think it's not the reason why he's done it that's annoyed us. It's how he's gone about it. It's the way he's gone about the whole situation. Like, kicking off the way he has, there's just no need for it. Going to train in Spain and not, like, Eddie House came out and said he knew nothing about it. You only found out in the media. Going to train at your former club, it's just disrespectful. We've got training facilities for you. You can recover at our training ground. There's no reason you have to go to your former club. You could train with our teammates. Like, look, you might not get your move away. Just be respectful, play for the club you're contracted to until that move can happen. And by the looks of things, it can't happen now. So you're just going to have to wait and be patient. These fans have literally, they love Isak. Well, they did. They loved Isak. They absolutely adored him. You'll never ever see any fan base with do the display that we did for Isak at St James's in any other football club. I can promise you that right now. That'll never ever happen at any other club. It just won't, because we love him. Like, Newcastle fans get attached to players that are good, and we got attached to Isak, and he's threw us in the mud for no reason whatsoever. All because he wants to move to Liverpool. He could have been respectful. He could have been patient. He could have waited. He could have just played for us until the move happened.
Yeah, and it's almost like the jilted lover kind of thing now, where I'm not falling in love with any other player. Like, oh, it's heartbreaking. The prediction for what might happen, I think you might have touched a little bit on what you think might happen. I've seen some of the fans, and listen, I'm not going to knock people because obviously everyone has different views and stuff like that. I run a couple of different businesses. I understand the value of money and assets and all the different things. Some people say leave them in the reserves for 3 years, right? I literally put my hand over my face when I see that, because that's literally like the jilted lover who's literally like, I'll tell you what, we had a lovely thing, we were married together or whatever, now we're going to break up. Let's just burn the house rather than sell it, and we'll just divide it and divide them. It's so not business sense. If you put your star asset, your main man who's worth £150 million in the reserves, it's bonkers, because you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're weakening your team because you're without him all season. You haven't got the money for a replacement. It just doesn't make any sense. You're just doing that because you're so annoyed and frustrated, which I 100% get the frustration stuff, but it's just bonkers. The way I see it is, I was going to say before today, put him in the reserves for a little while. It's a World Cup season. Now, you've got Gyökeres who plays up front. Isak is almost certainly likely to play, but if he's in the reserves for a year, it does hurt his chances, and maybe they'll change formation and do 4-5-1 or something like that and just have him, because he's going to be so off the pace otherwise. So it's in his interest, even if it takes him a couple of weeks to get over it or whatever. Once it hits the middle of September, right, let's get you back in. You're selfish. Newcastle are selfish. Everyone's got to look after their own interests. We have to look after ours. You have to look after yours. You want the move away, so it's in your interest to play well, and you want to get in the national team. So it's in your interest to play. Now, I think my mind's scattered a little bit, if I'm being honest, because when he's coming out and saying he doesn't want to play again, that is a heavy, heavy statement, and that to me doesn't sound like someone who, yeah, in a couple of weeks, go on, then I'll turn around. It almost seems like he's burning the bridge, and he's literally just, I mean, like I said at the start, it's almost the worst thing that a professional footballer can do. The fact that he signed a 3 year, he's, well, not signed a 3 year contract, but the fact that he's got 3 years on his contract and saying you're not going to play is criminal. There should be rules in place for something like this. And I understand it's going to sound like just a Newcastle fan who's had a kick in the teeth, and even if you ask us if Sheffield United did this, if Leeds did this, if whatever, it should be something in. If you've got at least over a year of your contract and you refuse to play, there should be heavy, heavy punishment from that. Not only should you sacrifice your money, but how can you sign such a long deal and then literally say I'm not going to play? It's criminal. So I don't think he's going to be reintegrated. I personally think Newcastle need to sell. I think we need to. Hopefully, we've been doing a lot of this groundwork trying to get a striker in the last few weeks, because this hasn't just came overnight. But I think the severity of this ramps everything up, and we really do need to be getting on the phone, all hands on the pump in St James's Park, trying to see what strikers are currently available, even if it's just a top striker on loan. We'll give you a big loan fee. We need someone in, like an Ivan Toney. Just, I don't know why he's coming to mind, but I know he's obviously in Saudi. He's going to be on huge wages, but someone who maybe could just come in for 1 year, see we're over, and then next summer, boom, spend the money, sort of thing. I think he has to go personally, and I think that's is what will happen now.
I think he's
How
just
do you see it?
I think his legacy's just tarnished at the club now. I don't see a future for him at Newcastle anymore. I really don't. Even if he comes out and he does play for us, I can't physically see myself forgiving him. I just can't. And I think if he doesn't get a move either this summer or January, he's ruined his career as well, because if he's going to refuse to play and he's not going to play during that time, then he's just ruining his own career by doing that. Because like I say, I never saw Isak this way. I never saw him being the type of person to do the things he's doing. And the fact now that he is just disappointing as anything. And why would Liverpool want a player like that as well? Like, it's just silly. It's just stupid. If they can do that here, they can do that there. If what happens if Real Madrid come in for him in 2 years' time while he's at Liverpool?
Well, they've just had a similar thing with Trent. Exactly. They've been on that side of it.
And exactly, and they're saying like Liverpool fans are coming at us as well. But did you see the way they treat their player when he wanted to go to Real Madrid? It's no different here. We adore Isak. Yes, he's not a Geordie, and yes, he wasn't born here, but he's a player we've grown an attachment to because of how he's performed for the club, because of the things he's come out and said as well. Like, he loves Newcastle. We thought he got it. We thought he got Newcastle. We thought he got the fans, but he doesn't. He clearly doesn't. He's had that idea in his head the whole time, and you could see it in his performances after we won the trophy. He slacked. He didn't look the same player. He didn't look like he was putting in as much effort. And now it makes sense. The things that have been going on, it kind of makes a bit more sense now. And
Just to touch on that, because there was rumours he was carrying a knock last season. It kind of like he's got a groin issue this season. Do you think now, with obviously retrospect looking back, do you think he just had lost interest in Newcastle? Maybe they'd had talks behind the scenes and stuff, and he lost interest.
yeah, I think, well, it's quite similar to what's happened in pre-season this time. He's got a knock. He's got an injury. He's nursing something. No, he's not. I think that was a whole lie. I mean, Eddie Howe even come out recently and has said, like, he's fine. His fitness is fine now. Like, he said that after, who was it that were last played? I think it was Atletico Madrid. He come out and said Isak's fitness is fine now. No problems. Well, so he's just clearly refusing to play then. He just doesn't want to play for us. You can't just do that. He has to be disciplined. There's no way he can just get away with not playing for the club.
I mean, you can read between lines sometimes, and I thought it baffling. But again, what I said earlier, Newcastle fans defended him to the hilt, and I remember it said, "Oh, he's training with his old club," but he's got a groin injury. So you would think you're either in the physiotherapist, and where you could do anywhere in the world, but you went to train to keep yourself fit, probably for a potential move. So why have you done that? You haven't gone there to get physio. You could have done that anywhere. You've gone there to keep yourself and keep your body fully fit. So you literally, as soon as you get a move, you're ready to go. So for me, it was a smoke screen. I could tell, not 100%, but you could tell that maybe that it was a bit of a transfer smoke screen that you see all the time when players are linked with a move. I mean, if you see someone like Tyler Diblin, he's linked with a big money move to Everton from Southampton. Southampton never played him at the weekend. They're probably not going to play him next week because they need to keep him fit, because it's going to be a £40 million move that they're risking by keeping him doing that. And you can see that injury with Isak now, especially looking back at it, was probably just a smokescreen.
Yeah, probably was. It really, really probably was. And another thing I want to mention is, like, how do you think the players are feeling about this? Because I know he's going in to train alone, but if he does end up having to train with his teammates, how do you think, like, the players have stuck up for him throughout this as well? Like, there's been interviews where they've stuck up for him. Anthony Gordon did, Trippier did. Do you actually think that the likes of Bruno, who absolutely adores Newcastle, the likes of Trippier, the likes of Gordon, Joe Linton, do you actually do you think that these players are going to look at Isak the same way? Do you think they're going to be able to forgive him?
Well, interesting note. I listen to talks, but whenever I'm driving, I'll put Talksport on rather than tunes or whatever like that. And Ali McCoist was talking about it a little while ago. I've got a fan question about this Isak situation when Liverpool had put the bid in, and someone asked them, a Newcastle fan, what would the players be thinking of this? What would the chat in the dressing room be? Obviously, he's a former player, so he's going to know much more than me and you and most 99.9% of Newcastle fans. He's been in a high end locker room, and he said, no, he's shown ambition. A lot of the players will think, good on you. We'll respect you. Don't worry about that. We're not against you. He got asked again when I was driving around this morning, and it was Gabby who was on, Gabby Bonlaho, who a lot of Newcastle fans, think is against Newcastle. I think sometimes he does speak a bit of sense, but in most you can tell he's trying to get little clickbait and stuff like that. Both of them kind of agreed. The players, the current Newcastle United players, will be feeling a little bit miffed by him, because he is letting the club down. He's letting himself down. The whole attitude of everything. If it was just a case of, I want to go, cool, I'm going to keep training, don't worry, I'll play until I get my move and stuff like that, the players wouldn't this is what they were saying, be against him, but because of the way that he's handled this and refusing to play for the club that you're contracted, that is paying your wages, and you're turning around and downing tools and saying, I'll take my paycheck, but I'm not playing for you. The players said, they said the players would probably be a bit against him. So that's from a professional player's standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case as well, because he's damaging the club, really. It's not a case of professional anymore. He's damaging the club.
I think he seems to forget as well. This club is the reason why he's even linked to Liverpool, because we brought him out of his shell from being at Real Sociedad, where he wasn't even like the biggest talk name ever. Like, we just brought him in because he looked promising. Realistically, he's had one good standout season at Newcastle where you can look at him and go, wow, he's unbelievable. And that was last season. But prior to that, no teams were really linked with him. Like, he wasn't really like, oh, the best striker in the world. That's only happened in the last season because he's coming into his prime. But if he doesn't get this move this summer, what's next for him? Like, what's if Liverpool sign someone else? What if Liverpool go out and get someone else? Like, where does he go then? Because if he's forcing a move to Liverpool because he wants them, the Liverpool aren't going to wait forever. Like, his age is going to go up. Like, they're not going to sit there forever and wait.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things of this is Simon Jordan on Talksport talks optics, how things look. I
Yeah.
personally think this looks horrendous for Newcastle, trying to be seen as a big club on the world stage with all this different stuff. When a top four club can come in and just say, we want your player, the player turns his head, and we pretty much have to bend over for this top club. We like to see Newcastle as a top club or on the way up, all the rest of it. It puts us back in a PR perspective, I think, because it just shows from the outside that if Man City, Liverpool, whatever want to come in, they can come in and just pick the star up and take them out. That's how it feels at the minute for me,
It,
anyway. It's heartbreaking.
it's not a good look for this club. It's really not. And I know it might sound a bit bizarre, but I feel like I can see it on the pitch. I can see it in the players' faces. I can see it in Eddie Howe's interviews. I can see it throughout the fan base. Like, everyone's been affected by it. And it's like, how can one player do that? The player who we've adored, the player who we have supported so much, all he had to do was turn around and say, like, Liverpool are interested. I want to go there, but I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'll train. I'll play. If a move happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'll stay for another season. See how we're doing the Champions League. Like, he doesn't know what this season could. Like, he has no idea what the season could be like. If he had stayed, maybe players would have been more attracted to us as well this summer. Like, there'll be players looking at this situation, saying Isak wanting to force a move out, and it's unattractive. But had that situation not have happened, maybe we would have had a better summer. I know it sounds a bit silly, but it could. It could be a thing because we're getting rejected by everybody because they're probably looking at it and thinking, well, if Isak, a player of his level, is forcing a move out, it mustn't be that good.
Well, I did my interviews, Newcastle, on the Friday night game. And the first interview that we did, I said, why are we struggling to sign people? Obviously, getting the fans who go to all the games, getting their thoughts. First person I spoke to said, I think some of it is to do with the Isak negativity that is surrounding the club. And just to spin it round, do you think, I know obviously we mentioned Isak might have wanted out for a little while now and stuff like that. Do you think he's maybe possibly moving because Newcastle aren't showing the ambition that he needs? Or personally, as a Newcastle fan, at the end of last window to where we are now, I know we have just signed someone yesterday, great signing. Do you think he's maybe thought, I've got ambitions being up here. Maybe I would like to win the Premier League. I could do that with Newcastle. I could do that with the Champions League rather, and all of that different stuff. But Newcastle have got obviously a longer distance to go. Do you think he's maybe turned off a little bit by this transfer window and the fact that we haven't been able to get as many players, as many star players in as easy as we maybe thought we would have done going in after we'd secured Champions League football?
He probably is, yeah. And I think a lot of players in the squad will be. But that's a difference. Like, there'll be players there who will be sitting there and being patient because they know Like, look at where this club was like a couple of years ago. But we're at the bottom, like right at the bottom, and we've been in the Champions League now twice, and it's only been a couple of years. Like, there's still more to come. Yes, it's going to take time, and I think everyone's learning along the way. But like, you have to be patient, and if you're a player coming into Newcastle, you have to realise where we were and what we're trying to be. It's going to take time. You can't expect a takeover to go like that from being a relegation battle to winning the Premier League. It's not going to happen that quick. Isak, who knows? We could be competing for the Premier League in 2 years' time. You don't know, because who knows what summer we'll have next summer? Who knows if we'll have
Well,
an
we
amazing
were nearly second. It was only a few games to go last season where it might have been that Newcastle was second.
I said I thought we would have finished second above Arsenal the way it was looking, but we had a poor sort of end of the season. But we could have been. We could have been second in the league. And I honestly think we don't even need world class players, because I see Eddie Howe as a world class coach. He can make any player look amazing. He can make any team gel and look like we don't have the best squad in the world, but look at what we did last season with the squad that we had. We were phenomenal. We nearly finished second. We got Champions League. Look at what Eddie Howe can do if he has players even better than that next season. We could finish anywhere. We could compete for anything. And I think that's going to happen in the next few years. But Isak's not patient enough to wait. He wants that now. Will Liverpool win the Champions League next season? Will they win the Premier League again? You don't know. Like,
I think if they get Isak, I think they're going to be hot favourites. Yeah,
who
I honestly pray for the rest of the footballing world that it doesn't happen for Liverpool, because it will turn them into, I mentioned it a few videos ago, the Harlem Globetrotters. I just think this will be the gulf that separates. I think this will put them miles ahead of Arsenal. It'll put them miles ahead of Man City. It'll put them ahead of Barcelona. Probably on par, I would say, with Real Madrid. Obviously, they know how to win games and do anything, get results. I just think it turns them into the best team in the last 10 years. Even when Man City were at the pomp and they were doing everything, I would say this Liverpool side with Isak in would be favourites to beat that Man City when you had De Bruyne, who was free flowing and all of that. Aguero, I think this is going to be the best team in recent years.
I think, from my perspective, I'm just gonna wait and see how this Premier League season goes. Like, by January, I'll know. I'll know, because Man City have brought in new players. Arsenal have brought in Gyökeres. You don't know how he's gonna gel. Liverpool have brought in all these new players. But something that does happen is, I mean, they brought in Ekitike, they brought in Wirtz, they brought in Frimpong. They're all not from the Premier League. They've not Premier League proven. So you never know. Like, you've seen it happen in the past where like players have signed for clubs and they look like the best team in the world on paper, but then because they're all new and because they're all not Premier League proven and it's a new league for them, I mean, I don't see it happening, but sometimes that's worse. That's bad. It could end bad, not good, because these players might not gel to the Premier League so quick. They might in a couple of years' time, but not straight away. And I mean, I don't see that happening. I mean, Wirtz looks phenomenal.
He's in
Ekitike
my
looks.
fantasy football team. I think it'll click for him. But there, like you say, there is a chance. Yeah.
I do think it'll click, but I'm saying there's a chance that it might not. That's just me having hope that Liverpool aren't going to win everything for the next 5 years, but we'll see what happens. I
Yeah.
still think
Well, one of the
Arsenal
things we
promising.
Yeah, one of the things we will have to do, and I always think it's pointless doing it before the transfer window shuts. We'll need to do a top one to 20, how we're going to predict the Premier League. So I always think it's pointless doing that when the transfer window is still open, because if you do beforehand and then all these moves start happening, it just throws chaos. So we'll have to do that the first or second of the month and do where we think everyone's going to get a fish. It'll be very interesting once the transfer window's done to actually predict where we think Newcastle will finish with Champions League football as well. Obviously, been a little bit of a distraction. So we'll leave it there then. Thank you very much if you've been watching this as well. Don't forget, like, follow, subscribe. Does help the channel, whether you're watching this on the Newcastle Sports Worldwide Facebook page, on the Northeast Updates YouTube channel, wherever you are. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much.